Yes, good afternoon. Yes, this is John Crawford, um, popularly known as John FX. I am doing this video for a question made by a family friend of ours. We grew up, Jenny White, and the question is, what are the challenges that the Jamaican industry faces in order to move into the lucrative international market? And as explained, there were factors before that had a part to play in the Jamaican music. I guess you call it crossover into the international market. And many of those factors were um, understandability, where would they be able to understand what they're saying, mixing and mastering. That's international world has a standard of mixing and mastering, and there's also funding, big part to play. um, Funding is a big part, where TV programs, shows, radio airplay, promotion, that's another big factor also. But relatability is really one of the core things, one of the core factors. Then, what I mean, there's an example of Chris Blackwell, Island Records, having Bob Marley as one of his main acts. Island poised, the Police, UB40, big name acts. And what he would do with Bob Marley is Chris Blackwell would add overdubs, like blues guitarists and stuff, to Bob Marley's current music. So a lot of the music that we know about Bob Marley, they also have international overdubs on them. A perfect example, Concrete Jungle has a rock and roll guitar in the beginning, and also right coming out of the chorus, So he added those blends to make it have a more international appeal. And then there's also the artist that is also, most people, we are an English speaking country, Jamaica, and a lot of our artists need to keep that in mind. That's our language that we need to have internationally, that they understand. Patois is amazing, but there's few that could relate if the beat is not pulsing. And that goes back again to where I was mentioning to you about the mixing and the mastering, because then the drum sounds have to be knocking a certain way for them to groove to it, and then eventually they'll get into what you're saying. There's another thing. There is reggaeton that is now commercial in America, and people might say, but reggaeton, they don't understand what they're saying, which is true. Like Despacito is, I think, one of the first non-English records that went diamond, that went 1 billion streams, big record. And the Despacito, the thing is, there's a big Spanish market that supports that automatically. Or Jamaican market is very small in support also, because I don't even think there's Spotify in Jamaica, and that's the standard. Apple Music barely works, and there's other streaming services that don't work in Jamaica, Napster, and the list goes on and on. Also, no, today the issues that we have is what I just mentioned. I just jumped into it. Is the services. The standard has changed, where it was CDs. Then the CD duplicating machine came. Then it was digital sales on iTunes, and then now it is now streaming. So with us not having proper streaming services accessible in Jamaica, that's another issue. Where you can't even partake of the new international standard. And what a lot of it is really ignorance. And the challenge that I faced over the years was even getting the support from our people to know that, oh, I made this track and that track and that track, and not being based in Jamaica. That was a challenge for me, but I always knew the formula because I was out of Jamaica. But there's a lot of factors that's needed. There is getting your publishing right. That's where your money gets collected. Also knowing how to do that properly, so you can receive royalties, so you won't have an issue, with your children not having, what did you work for? Let me see the fruits of your labor. So those are the factors, and there's more. I could go in detail, but I was told it's 5 minutes, so there's 5 minutes. And thank you so much for having me share a little small experience. All right, Janelle, take care. All right.